Testing, testing.
Yeah. We got it all good. All right. Before we actually jump into the agenda of the meeting, one thing that I did want to take the time to discuss is Mike Bush. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I would like to take a moment to honor the life and legacy of Mr. Michael Bush. Mike Bush went home to be with his Lord and Savior on Saturday morning, June 27, 2026, following a battle with liver cancer. He was a devoted husband to his high school sweetheart, Stella, a proud father and grandfather, a man of faith, and a lifelong servant leader in education, athletics, and Wes-Del community. Mike's connection to Wes-Del ran deep. It began his teaching career and coaching career at Wes-Del Middle School High School in 1978. Over the years, he served as teacher, coach, curriculum, and technology director, and ultimately as superintendent of Wes-Del Community Schools from 2013 to 2018. His impact on the district is lasting. As a coach, he helped lead the Warriors to the first baseball championship in school history, served in basketball and golf, and helped begin the girls' golf program. As a leader in curriculum and technology, he helped launch Wes-Del's one-to-one technology program, open new doors for students and staff. As superintendent, he guided the district through the decision to construct the Wes-Del Fieldhouse, a facility that continues to serve our students and community today. Mike was recognized as District 6 Superintendent of the Year and was also committed to athletics across Delaware County. He served on the Delaware County Athletic Hall of Fame board for 38 years, including president, and was inducted in both the Delaware County Athletic Hall of Fame and the Wes-Del Athletic Hall of Fame. But beyond the titles, the honors, and accomplishments, Mike Bush represented what was best about Wes-Del: loyalty, service, humility, leadership, and a deep commitment to young people. His work helped shape generations of students, athletes, educators, and community members. And on behalf of Wes-Del Community School Board of Trustees, we extend our heartfelt condolences to Stella, his grandchildren, his family, his friends, and all who loved him. At this time, I'd like to ask everybody to join me in a moment of silence to remember Mike Bush and the lasting legacy he has here at Wes-Del. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Townsend.
Here.
Mock.
Present.
Williams is present. Here. Back. Present.
All right. Public comment. I don't know if anybody signed up for any comments this morning. Yeah. Okay. Now this is for the project. Do we need to?
We will have a time period during the second hearing. Is that correct? That we can have, or do you want that here now?
If it's comments about the merged public hearings on bond stuff, I would say that.
Okay. Is that okay?
Sure.
Is it about the bond project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a segment within the second reading, if that's okay with you.
Okay, so that would be, you take my comments in a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I would like to say at this point that for 12 years, I spent many an evening right here in this room with Mr. Mike Bush,
Yeah.
and just thinking back to, and it was, yeah, he was the curriculum director and the technology guy at the time. And, you know, of course, there was a lot of, he would be wanting to do this and, you know, us old guys on the board, we were wanting to do this and he was just great. He was just really great. He was a great guy.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. All right, we'll move on to consent agenda items. We have claims for your information. And then the minutes are also included from last meeting. So we're just looking for approval for the consent agenda items A and B.
My motion to approve consent agenda items A and B.
And I will second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That has been approved. Moving on to business reports. We've got the month-end reports in for your information. Comments, questions about those? Okay. Moving on to new business and employment. We've got a donation. Mr. Reagan is asking for the board to approve a generous donation from Crabtree Photography. They are donating $500 to go towards the annual 5th grade overnight field trip to Camp
Comes in.
Tecumseh.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
And yeah, we were just very thankful for that donation, but we do need approval or a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the donation from Crabtree Photography for.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That has been approved. Thank you to Crabtree Photography for continuing to support our students. All right, employment. We've got consent items A through K. So we just have several recommendations for hires and some resignations to approve. So we're just looking for approval of those items.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through K.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have one question regarding the Burkett hire, with him taking on this lead role as the athletic director. What is the situation with him as the head basketball coach?
Very good question. So as we go into this year, it's a delicate time, especially as we're in the midst of summer basketball and everything. I spoke in length with Mr. Burkett, his desire to continue coaching throughout the school year. We're gonna revisit that at the conclusion of this season and see how everything goes. Obviously, the reality is balancing two different things is a really large commitment. Based on what I've talked with Mr. Burkett, he is a dedicated person to Wes-Del. He has a drive and desire to be here. He's already proven to be here in a lot of different capacities. He's willing to take on both roles, and he's very open with me that if I can't handle this, I'll be the first to let you know. So in terms of being forthcoming with that, just having that open conversation, but I have a lot of faith in Mr. Burkett, especially with his background, being Wes-Del warrior, being a graduate from here, and just his desire to want to be here all the time. And it's not for the faint of heart. Baby role is very difficult. There's a lot of time and a lot of personalities, a lot of things you have to deal with. I think that Josh is going to do a tremendous job in that role. But with that being said, that's going to be something we're going to have to discuss as we go through.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion has been approved. All right, moving on to second preliminary it's one of those days. Determination hearing.
Yes, yes.
All right. We're gonna start.
And project hearing, right? You're doing them together?
Project
Yes,
hearing.
both together.
Okay. It's just not right. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a project of preliminary hearing for the proposed bond project. If you're interested in speaking on this hearing, we need you to have signed the sign-in sheet including your name and address. After the presentation by the administration and its advisors, there'll be an opportunity for the public to make comments on the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to established board standards and that the topic be limited to the proposed projects under consideration. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required. The first preliminary determination hearing was held on June 10th, 2026. At this time, I will ask Superintendent Stover to explain the purpose of this hearing.
Yep, so pursuant to Indiana Code 20-26-7-37, before a school corporation may spend more than $1 million to construct, repair, or alter a school building that will be financed by lease or bonds, it must hold a public hearing in which explanations of potential value of the project and the school corporation and community are given. Similarly, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1-20-3.1, the school corporation must hold 2 public hearings and adopt a resolution to preliminarily determine the issuance or issue of bonds or enter a lease for a project which has a total project cost in excess of the non-controlled project, or if the school corporation has a debt service fund tax rate above a certain amount. This public hearing and the consideration of resolutions represented the beginning of the legal process. The resolutions presented at this meeting establish the maximum financial terms for the proposed projects.
Okay. We will now hear from Performance Services and United Moving Group LLC about how the proposed project meets the needs as just described. So,
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll give Nick, you'll go first. We'll have Nick take the floor. And once again, we're going to provide an overview that we did during the last board meeting. This is just the second hearing of it. So what I'll do is I will figure out which one it is. Second one. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, not that one. No. Try to fat figure this one. Sorry. Finally.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. So once again, my name is Nick Allen. I'm a business development manager with Performance Services. Got a few gentlemen with me last month. Bruce Thompson, one of our mechanical engineers, and then also have Ryan Benson on one of our slides. He's one of our senior architects that spends some time out here in the building as well. So really, we specialize in school design and construction. We sat down with Mr. Stover in August, and for at least half the schools in the state, what we like to do is start with a facility assessment. A lot of schools, believe it or not, don't have 10-year plans or documentation of existing conditions, equipment, quantities, expected useful life of basically their building systems, heating, cooling, controls, lighting, roofing, etc. So we offer to do that at no cost for Wes-Del community schools. Started that, I believe, in October, wrapped up around the April timeframe, delivered a formal report to Mr. Stover. And then what I've done here is just kind of summarize the report. But there's a lot of meat behind it, a lot of little font on your handouts. I don't expect you to read that, but I'll just run through the overview pretty quick. So maybe slide 3 or 2. High level Performance Services was founded in 1998, so we're still headquartered in north side of Indianapolis. We were founded to serve K-12 schools in Indiana. Since 1998, we've done around $4 billion in project volume, over 900 projects, just under 900 projects, majority of which are with Indiana K-12 schools. Next slide, please. Our composition, architects, engineers, I mentioned the gentleman that helped me with the facility assessment here, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, building automation control specialists, construction project managers, construction estimators, so really front-end design all the way to seeing the project through installation and the back-end performance, making sure the buildings function as they were designed. Keep going, Andy. We'll jump into your facility assessment. Like I said, spend some time in both buildings. What we like to start with is just analyzing your utility costs. So electric and gas data, water seeing how you guys operate from a building efficiency standpoint. And say you're in that average section, and really from there we just take a look at heating systems, cooling systems, classroom equipment, major air handling equipment serving larger areas. Like I mentioned, lighting, building automation, controls. Got all the meat here with pretty pictures. We like to document existing conditions as well. Andy, I'll have you scroll it a couple pages forward. And then we try and summarize it, what we call basically a building report card. Like I said, so here's all your major equipment, the brand, the expected useful life from ASHRAE, where you guys are at relative to that expected useful life. But once again, expected useful life and current age is not always an indicator that something has an issue or needs to be replaced. So we also document existing conditions. And you'll see, a key takeaway from this was, I think Mr. Stover mentioned it last month, you'll see a lot of equipment that's 22 years old. So in 2004, you did major mechanical renovations, HVAC renovations at both buildings. So you'll see this at the elementary school, you see it at the junior, senior high school as well. And that's just due to those major renovations that all happened in 2004. Next slide. And then from here, and a lot of this was done in conjunction with Mr. Stover and Jeremy and the facilities team. These are 8, 9, 10-year plans. There's always 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. You guys don't have all the money in the world to spend. So, it's just stuff that should be on your radar over the next 10 years, right? Based on existing conditions, where it's at relative to its useful life. Some of these could be big chunks that need to be phased in over time. So just taking a stab at some things that should be on your radar in the more near term, in that 2027 list, and then going out to 10 years is what we try to address. And really at the elementary school, boilers, pumps, the horizontal classroom unit ventilators that you have in your classrooms, you might want to look at the conditions of those and start thinking about you phase those in over a period of time. But those are the big takeaways for the near future at the elementary school. And then Andy, next slide, same exact exercise at the middle school and high school. So I'll have you go through, once again, average from an operating cost standpoint. So nothing that raised a huge flag there. Same building report card. You'll see a lot of 22-year-old equipment, some older. And then just to summarize on the next slide, really what the more near-term potential needs are the same boilers and pumps, classroom unit ventilators that were the 2004 renovation. A few older air handling units that we talked about last month in the wrestling area, industrial tech, domestic water heater, and architect came out, looked at building envelope at the high school too. I think Mr. Stover's request with some windows there. So stuff that may want to put on your radar near term and long term too, as you look out in that 10-year horizon. And that's all I have. You can save the time, you can call it there. Any questions from the board, Mr. Stover?
Was there anything that was like, hey, this has got to be done tomorrow?
Tomorrow, no. I mean, we took a look at what you guys are spending maintenance dollars on, anything egregious, but I wouldn't say any emergency situation.
When you say a 10-year plan, and at the end of that 10 years, do you start over again? I guess what the.
Yeah, I mean, it would.
I mean, we got stuff that's 20 years old. Does it take? Can you replace all this stuff in 10 years? I guess.
Everything on that list, yes, could be replaced in 10 years. And then other priorities may pop up. We've got projects, school corporations, we're on phase 14, right? Off of the 10-year master plan, as funding becomes available, you revisit those priorities. Are these still priorities? Are there any priorities that have, jumped into, bigger need?
These are basically an anticipated events for breakdown potential based upon years of service. You could have something that's unscheduled that could occur.
You're correct.
So how often do you typically go into businesses and do these assessments? Are these a 5-year?
Yeah.
Do you do at any time that's requested? Is there something that's a set schedule? Because if you're doing a 5, 10, 15, every 5 years, you just move it up some, then you do another assessment.
Right. Yeah, when we're working with school districts, we've done an assessment, we're in the project phase, we're in the buildings all the time. I mean, we're in the buildings that we're working in, we complete the project, We've got what we call 4-season optimization. So a year after the project's complete, we're still in that building. From a formal documentation standpoint, it would be a year request. Could that be 5 years down the road? Yes, but if we see something when we're in the buildings, or if Jeremy or someone else brings something to our attention, we can add it to the report. It's a master spreadsheet.
And what are you thinking, like, keep that projected at every 5 years? Because if they do a 1 through 10, in 5 years, that could alter or change.
Yeah, so the reality is like, so coming in, being first year superintendent, so sitting down with Nick and his team, this gives me a good idea for right now, for the next 10 years. And things will change. If these air handlers there could be a number of air handlers we get 30 years out of it. So the reality is getting a baseline and figuring out where we're at and then prioritizing these. Because what I don't want it to do is at some point in time, someone else will be in this chair, hopefully a long time from now. But I would hope that there is a coherent plan that you can say, hey, and like the thing is, like, no offense to 2004, when we did all the things, we probably had a need to get all those things off the ground and completed. More so, the 10-year plan for me is saying, hey, over the next couple of years, what are we going to focus on? And then we can start getting a semblance of replacing equipment and getting the most out of it. Because the other thing is, I look at efficiency. Even though the units might be running and they might be hitting their 20-year life expectancy, are we getting the efficiency out of those? Because that's the other thing we look at. So, and there's a number of efficiency areas that we talked, especially with the general Bruce. And there's a lot of efficiency things that we were missing out on too as well. So I try to look at all of that. So generally, as we look at this, and then the bond council, we'll talk about this a little bit, we're not wanting to spend all the funds we don't need to. The idea is like, let's prioritize this. Let's get a plan in place, and let's figure out how we can get this done. Because no, I'm not going to sit here and say we got to replace all that stuff, because that would not be financially prudent for the district.
If you was gonna pick out one thing that needs to be done, what would it be?
I think the boilers, they're on that list.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I'm not in his world. The vertical ventilation units at elementary, those are getting outdated. We just updated the carpet, so all new flooring and all new tile through all the classrooms. Now we have old ventilators and things like that. That's just from, I guess, the cosmetic side of things, but I've also seen in the guts of those vertical ventilators, they're chock full of dust and debris. And so those are things we want to look at. Do you have any more questions for Nick?
Thank you.
Thanks. So United Roofing, Group LLC?
Yeah.
So I'm Mike Dowling. I'm going to defer to Brad here. Brad is with Duralast. He's that's the proposal that we put together, the manufacturer. So I'm going to let him kind of take it. He came out, what was that, May, walked the roof with myself, one of my other partners, and I think Jeremy is even with us that day. And kind of looked at what was marked up on the roof, what was it, what areas of concern there were. And Brad's put together a big proposal here for us, and I'll let him kind of improve it.
All right. I'm Brad Fotojo. I'm with Duralast Roofing. We're a manufacturer here in the U.S. We've been around 50 years. Okay, I brought some samples of membrane that we're going to propose to you, and a walk pad. Okay, and I'll let Andy maybe start the demonstration here that I typically do with the material. All right, I cut it, I pre-cut it, and I tip yes. I typically offer the Texas Roadhouse gift card if you can tear it. Okay.
You gave me the small bill too, right?
You still working on that piece I gave you? 6 weeks ago.
It's normal in my office. Have fun, guys.
We're big with schools. Okay. This year, really big. This is probably my 20th board meeting that I've been involved with. The windstorms that we've had this year have been bad. Okay. Mike called me from United, said, hey, we got a roof we want to check out, take a look. We got up there. There was a lot of areas that were wind damaged, already taken apart up there. I think another company was proposing to tear it all off. And I said, wait a minute, time out. We don't need to do that. The insulation is still mostly good. Okay, it's fresh. There might be some areas that are wet. We'll diagnose that further if we want to go to the next step. But what we're big at is recovers, overlays. Okay, so we can save the insulation, even promote maybe more if you guys want some more R value to work with the energy. Nick, I had a similar job 15 years ago, so I was following you there. Well done, by the way. We proposed a white product. The school close by that's using us right now is Yorktown. All right, we just went through their budget restrictions, helped them out by $1 million on what they were being proposed. So there's a lot of friendliness there. Our product's white. We have several colors, but mostly white is the one chosen because of reflectivity. We have the highest reflective membrane in the market. So we're going to help enhance cooling with the building. Okay. Something that makes us different is our warranties. We actually own the warranty as a manufacturer. So Mike's one of our master elite roofers. He's going to install it. And then Duralast owns the warranty afterwards. So before, during, and after, we'll have a tech rep up there to watch the installation, make sure it's done correctly. We don't have any architects or GCs involved because we have our own engineering design firm that works for us. Okay, so that's all free. So we're going to engineer the roof to fit the building the way it is. Am I going too fast? I've had a lot of coffee since 4 a.m. Okay. I'm not sure what we had to
You
close
can
today.
manipulate that.
You sure you want my fingers on
Go
it?
right ahead.
That's just the proposal.
Actually, this is the proposal. Do you want the photos?
Yeah, let's go with the photos first.
One second.
Any questions so far?
So on the pieces that you gave us, you said one's the walk pad, so does that go on top of this or is it vice versa?
Correct, yeah. So the membrane, the one in your left hand, will go down first. That's the waterproofing.
Okay.
And then typically what we like to do is put a walk pad with yellow OSHA striping going on it. So people that are up there know where to walk. Yeah, helps for insurance purposes. Yeah, so we'll typically do that to the units or around the units just to help protect everything. And as you can tell, it's very strong material. I mean, it takes 400 pounds of pressure per square inch to pierce that.
So is this a roll, and you'll roll them out, and then you do a bond so they can layer to one another?
Yeah, so currently you have rubber out there.
Yep.
Most roofing products will come in rolls.
Yep.
Rubber's all glued together.
Right.
So it's very susceptible to weather.
Did that in the early 90s.
Yeah, it's no fun, is it?
Oh.
What makes this different is everything's hot air welded. Okay. So once it's welded, it becomes monolithic. It's one piece. And we're going to inspect to make sure it's done right. But then at that point, there's no annual inspections that need to happen. Nothing. The warranty stays active for 20, 25, or 30 years, whichever way you guys decide you want to go. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be problems. Every once in a while, there might be a bullet hole or something up there, right? I hate to say that because this is a school, but it happens, right? It's very easy to fix it. Just give us a call or call Mike, whoever's local, and they'll go up there and patch it, and we're back into active status again.
When you say warranty, what is the warranty cover? Is it everything wind, hail, that kind of thing, or?
Major acts of God, it doesn't cover.
Okay.
But we're going to engineer it to withstand these winds that we've had. All right, that's where the engineering group comes in that we have. All right, you shouldn't have any problems with wind uplift. Now, if it's a tornado or something, nothing's going to stop that. Or if it's hailstones that are 2, 3, 4 inches, again, that's going to damage everything. I'm not going to lie to you. But little hailstones, inch or less, no damage, you'll be fine. We typically put 2 or 3 wind taps into the building, so we picture frame the building.
Everybody got photos you're talking about right now. I apologize. I had already made packs for everybody, so and the crowd too.
No problem. Okay, so as you look at the buildings, what we're going to do, can I borrow one of your sheets? Thank you very much. You don't have to pick this picture, but what we're going to do is put 30-inch rolls around the outside, maybe 2 or 3, and that's what stops the wind. A roof's biggest enemy is the wind. All right, so if we can prevent that with the edge system, which we're going to put an ES1 edge system on, that's the testing metal. I don't want to worry you guys too much. It's tested, right? So that's our first shield against the wind. And then the 30-inch rolls that goes around it. So we'll do 2 or 3 of those because you guys are out in the middle of nowhere. And I don't mean that. I mean that affectionately because I grew up in Florida, Indiana. So
we enjoy it.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And then we'll go 5-foot rolls down the middle. Okay. Now, as far as the warranty, going back to that, you're pretty much covered on everything. With this product, we even cover ponding water. So most roof systems won't cover water after 48 hours. We'll cover it for the life of the system. Water can sit up there for 15 years. And all of a sudden it starts to leak. That's my fault. Okay, you call us up and we'll get out there and fix it. Along with this one, we have our insurance clause on it. So there's a $2 million consequential insurance clause on it. So if the roof system fails and anything attached to the building gets wet or damaged, like maybe a gymnasium floor, we have a $2 million insurance policy. Nobody does that in the industry. That will cover the damage. Okay? Again, I know I'm going fast, so slow me down. So when we got up there and looked at all the buildings, we noticed that there was a lot of areas marked off that were damaged. And at that point, we were just like, we should probably just offer up an overlay because most of it's dry to save you guys money. A tear off would be double or almost triple the budget number you guys see in front of you. Yeah, I think what we put together is pretty attractive. I'm trying to think of things you guys want to hear. Am I missing something?
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
It's not on our radar, but maybe 10 years down the road, the board sits there and says, hey, we want to do solar panels on the roof. Does that do anything with your warranty? Does it do anything to where you can't put that on there? Whatever it might be.
No. Great. Is it Shane?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Great question. I think the updated proposal, we put cover board on it. Did we put cover board? So it's solar ready. So 10, 15 years from now, we'll actually put together the pedestal system for the solar company, hire weld it to it, and they just have to plop it in place, attach it, and they're off and running. And run their fiber optics or their connections.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Good question. We work with a lot of solar companies because of our reflectivity.
But I know sometimes, you know, when you penetrate through that there goes the warranty.
Yeah.
So,
No, if you want, let us know what's happening. We'll send a tech rep out with that group and put together a plan. They can install it, and then afterwards we'll get with Mike or use our own tech reps and get up there and make sure it's done correctly and it's flashed in correctly. You know, I'm not sure how large of a system you're going to put in, but
it's not even anything we're looking at, so I don't want to. Like, hey, we're doing this here. But I'm just asking a question for the next group maybe that says, hey, we have an idea. So.
Yep, good question.
So you're doing sections. Okay.
5 foot. Second.
Well, that's for the one.
5 foot roll grids.
Yeah.
And we can divide it into sections or do the whole thing at once. It's totally up to you. Because I told Andy I prefer to do it in sections, just so you guys get a feel for what's happening. It's very quiet, very fast. If we did the whole school with the layover, it would probably take 6 weeks.
Well, that was going to be my question. Sometimes when you do a patch here and there, are you spending more time doing patch here and there rather than saying, hey, your guys can go and start in the whole thing and you're only talking this much more money?
The big part there is the staging part, the upstart. You know, getting the crane on site, getting the restrooms, porta potties on site, things like that. That's minimal. I would rather bite off sections where that's, less indicative of what we want to do. But yes, we can do it in sections or just do the whole thing.
So percentage wise, how much are we looking at as far as covering the work? Are we doing 50%, 25%?
That proposal in front of you is for the entire thing.
So it's the entire thing.
Yeah, including the gymnasium. Now that's a different roof. It's a metal roof. So we're going to do what they call metal retrofit. So we're going to put EPS flute filler in there with an ISO board over the top. So now you get some R value, and we'll be able to retain some energy inside the gymnasium. And we're going to put white, I believe, on the gymnasium.
That's on the field house, what he's referring to.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the field. Two different things. I get it confused.
So
I know what you're talking about.
why would we be doing the field house so soon?
You've got leaks in that roof already.
And then you explained it really well about the contraction.
Yeah.
You guys have some of that.
So metal roofing comes in basically 1 foot, 18-inch panels, right? And they overlap. And then what they do, and I can't tell if it was snap lock or mechanically seamed metal, but they'll take a machine and fold the metal. Metal has a high coefficient of expansion contraction, especially in our environment, because it can be 80 and drop to 50 quickly, right?
Right.
When that happens, those seams come apart. Well, when that happens, you get the call, we'll fix the leak. We may fix that leak, but there's other areas in the roof that had problems that you haven't noticed yet. So all of a sudden, those start to leak. And that's what's happening to that particular roof. You have a lot of seams that are starting to break open and expand and contract.
So that roof is 10 years old? 2016?
The field house?
Yeah.
I didn't think it's that old. I think it was 2020. It's about, they finished in 2019, probably.
Yeah, I think 2019 was completion, 7 years. And the reality, and we're all the conversation came with the roofing aspect was obviously the wind damage we had, but then we had to have them assess the metal stainless steel roof on the backside. Well, the issue was we had installation that was being pulled out from inside of the field house, pulled across the parking lot all over the place. I'm like, how does that happen? We had an entire whatever beam, whatever seam we have here popped off, and we had installation for it now. And that was my same question. Like, how does this happen so quickly?
What we're seeing with these high winds is lift. And that metal roof is the highest roof you guys got, the tallest roof. Their section got lifted, and when it got lifted, that's when things started to move.
On here, you're saying that this is not including this auxiliary to the house.
It's included further down.
Yeah, further down so you've got just the school portion of it,
Okay.
and then you've got the field house portion.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, Mike let help me remember the polls one. I've worked on a lot of them.
With a lot of coffee.
Yes, lots of coffee, lots of coffee,
Without.
lots of ramblings.
And I think on the school proposal, there's an alternate in there for another area. And that's because when we were out here, we couldn't get on the middle school roof. So we didn't know what kind of damage was up there at that time. And then I think it's over the little triangle over, I think it's the office.
Admin office.
Admin office up front. So we put in an extra price in there for that as well, just so that everything's under the same warranty. And it has all the same product on it.
Across the board.
Yeah. See, the great thing is your installation is dry. It's still good. We can capture the whole thing, overlay it with a great product for 30 years. And you guys, I mean, it's minor compared to what could happen if you kept on pushing the rock.
So the cafeteria was okay?
That was the part, I believe, that had the asphalt rolled.
Oh, yeah.
under those.
Yeah, that's a I hate to say dinosaur system, but that's a good system that they really don't do anymore. We didn't see any damage done to that.
So is that gutter that's taking that water from that when it comes to the very end of that edge of that roof there?
Say that again.
Right here. I don't see anything damage wise. So this is coming down. Is there something that's capturing this right here?
I don't remember right offhand if there was a gutter system right there that it's running out to or not. It was something down at the bottom of that slope of the cafeteria. I probably got some pictures somewhere.
I think there might have been, but it actually drained under the main roof. And then the main roof took it to the.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I should have jumped on the roof today. I should have. I just maybe drove in and we came in, so I apologize.
Did you notice I'm not saying there was, any issues with the entranceway coming in?
The walkway up
Yeah.
front, we didn't go up on that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other question. Gutter, downspouts, anything like that, is that on your radar?
We didn't include any of that in there.
Well, my question is this, did you see anything of issues? Because you have all this water, you're there right now. Was there any issues of water that's not getting away from the building?
Not that we noticed the day that we were up there.
Yeah, the gutters seem to be in pretty good shape. I mean, they're old, but they're very functional. So we didn't want to waste any money of yours.
Sure. I'm just asking, you're dealing with water, so now we want to get that away from the facility itself. I just didn't know if there was any areas you saw that you said, hey.
And from my perspective here, there is one area that I've noticed, it's on the south side of the gym, of our high school gym, not the auxiliary gym. There's a downspout that's disconnected and it's creating erosion. That's one thing we're gonna work on. But in terms of the gutter system itself, it's a robust system. It's pretty big. It's like what, 6 inches?
Yeah.
So, it's really nice stuff. Probably needs a new paint coat on it, but other than that, it works pretty well.
So So the 65K on top of that is for the
That was for the middle school gym
middle school gym.
and the part of the admin office.
Okay.
That was for like the 10,000 square feet, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, we're looking at the first number, the second number, and then the number over here on this other page if we did everything.
If you did. Then there was an alternate in there about like a logo or like the school name or something. And what we talked about was on the field house on the slope facing the 28, where Brad said we could customize it a little bit and put like a big warrior head on it, or Wes-Del, or
Would that
some.
be visible from the road? Yeah.
Yeah, we can make
Very
it,
visible.
yeah, we made it 200 feet by 200 feet.
Okay.
As a throw-in bonus, that's great.
He's selling, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a seller.
I just think it'd be really cool.
Okay.
Young.
Put your company's
Well,
name
that-
right there now. Yeah, we can put your number.
If it was me, everything would be free, but
For things such as this, contact.
See?
Free advertisement.
All right. Does the board have any more questions in this portion?
So we're looking at possibly changing boiler systems. Is there anything that would change on for the roof? Okay.
thank you for
very
letting me
much.
talk.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, well, we will now hear from Baker Tilly about how the proposed projects will be financed, as well as information about the effect on the typical property taxpayer.
Hello everyone. Wow, I'm learning so much about roofs and all that, so thank you. But I don't know roofs very well, but I do know some numbers. So this is the same exact presentation you guys saw about a month ago. Nothing's different. So just gonna kind of quickly run through. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions, as always. So first slide, this is a chart of your current existing debt. So currently the school has 7 bonds outstanding. You can kind of see from 26 to 27, some of that debt is falling off. We call those step downs. So really just, you see your debt's around like $2 million in 25 and 26, step down in 27, another step down in 29, and then a larger one from 34 to 35. And then all of your debt being repaid by 2030. Just kind of a quick snapshot of your current existing debt, just to give you an idea on what you currently have outstanding. So move to the next slide. So tonight you do have resolutions that include many of these numbers. So again, these are maximums. So we cannot exceed these numbers, so we come down from these numbers. I'll mention there are a couple areas we include, we call a little bit of buffer. Again, just for flexibility for the school. The last thing we want to do is put you guys in a box that doesn't allow for any flexibility. So for the maximum borrowing amount, we're looking at $10 million. So this is the maximum up to that petition remonstrance number. And then we're estimating the proceeds available for the project to be a little over 9.4 million. So that's net of underwriter's discount and then cost of issuance. And then we are assuming some capitalized interest in that first year, which I'll explain more a little bit later. So that's net of all of those things. And then the assumed repayment term is a little under 20 years. So 19 years, 3 months. We are issuing these. We're planning to close on these in October, towards the end of October. And the max you can repay bond is 20 years. So it's right at that max amount of time. For the estimated interest expense, we're assuming a little over 6.9 million. What I do want to mention with that is off of 5% interest rates. In your resolutions, you'll see 5.5. So again, just providing flexibility for the day of sale, for time passing and just interest rates movement. But one of your questions last time was current rates. So again, right around that 4% number that I talked about last month. But this time I remembered to run it on 4%. And so it's right around 5.5 million in interest. So that kind of gives you an idea of that difference on just like different interest rate numbers. For the max annual debt service payment, we're assuming 2 million. This is plenty high enough. We came up with that number, honestly, from your current existing debt is right around $2 million. We know we wouldn't exceed that. We wouldn't push you over that because we are maintaining your levy in 2026. So we just put that to, again, allow for flexibility. If we decide to move some principal around based on the date of sale, we have the flexibility to do that, knowing that $2 million is well above. For example, the run on 5% interest rates, that max payment is actually $1,115,000. So there's plenty of buffer in there. Just
So that's 5%, and then the 4% was 4.5 million.
so there's nothing ran on 4% here.
Right.
But
What you
yeah,
said.
so 5.5 million in interest expense
5 million.
versus the 6.9 million
So that was
in interest is off of 5%. Right there. So that just tells you kind of a little bit of difference in just a percent.
And this is being projected in October.
Yes, we're going to close like at the end of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's a rate hike, then that obviously goes according to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And we're in contact with our pricing director on a regular basis, and that's something if anything goes crazy, we'll immediately, reach out to Andy like, hey, we might want to think about the sale time and like this is what's going on. So that's something we're definitely monitoring on a regular basis. The last item, I do want to hit on this. I know I hit on this last month, but I just want to kind of hit it home again. So the property taxes that you asked for in 2026 for this bond, so be issued this year, would come on in 27. We're assuming the same amount that you're going to ask for property taxes. So no increase from the public that you're asking for. Your property tax levy is really all that the school corporation can control. But I do want to mention, regardless of you issuing any debt, if all else is equal, if your assessed value goes down, like SCA1, from SCA1 and all that to 2031, your tax rate will go up, just based on math. It's because of that number, that levy, divided by AB. Again, baby drops, that rate will go up. But you are not asking for any more property taxes than you did in 2026. I just want to make that clear, because that's been different than what we've seen for a long time. So that can be a little confusing. I just want to make sure I hit on that again.
There's a question I had. You said, we would be paying forward 300,000.
Oh, the capitalized interest.
Yes. Is there a magic number to where that estimated amount to borrow to not have that? I have a hard time paying forward 300,000.
Yeah.
I understand what's trying to be done, but I just have a difficult time with that.
Yeah, for sure. If we go to the next slide, actually, I think that's just a visual of what's going on there. So capitalized interest is kind of that last lever for that property tax levy management strategy that we use. So I do want to mention, it's interest only for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no principal in those first 2 years. So, we did that first, we kind of see where it's at. We're like, okay, we still need to decrease this a little bit more in order to not have you increase your property tax levy. So our strategy, our next lever is capitalized interest. So we try to avoid it when we can, but if you want to issue $10 million, and again, I would also say this is like a max.
Yeah.
So we're also hoping it's going to be a lot lower.
Sure.
Lower.
I know there's a lot of ifs, but do you know that magic number? Because when we're looking at 10, is that magic number 7? Is that magic number 8?
I mean, I feel like if you reduce it by, I would have to run the exact scenario. You can probably run it quickly in our system and just kind of see where it is. But I mean, the logic would be reduce it by 300,000 rate, kind of typical, to basically move that payment out of that first year. But I'd have to run it to really see because those are interest only. There's no principal. I just have to keep running it until it gets down to that whatever level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to run it, and I can run something and just kind of see again based on assumed interest rates, of 5%, what we're running this amortization on. But like I said today, rates are 4%. So
I just have a hard time
a
saying,
lot
hey, let's
of
borrow
people
money
do.
and then let's play forward
Yeah,
for that borrowed money.
I mean, you would have to issue less. I just don't know that. I don't want to throw out a number because I don't know without running it in the system.
So you got to that number. And you did it at 4% first. And if there's an increase of that, you could hypothetically increase that to 4.5, even 5.
Yeah, because there's probably
that would give us,
increase.
yeah, that would give us that buffer.
Correct. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So, but again, with the 10 million for tonight versus again providing flexibility, setting that max,
Sure.
you go into reduce. So that's something we definitely look at. But I would definitely advise that you keep it a high enough number? But that's a good question. Totally understand. And on this graph, so in the dashed line, that's again your property tax levy. So assuming that's staying equal from 2026, so you kind of maintaining that level. And then again, yeah, the barber shop kind of looking for that is the estimate capitalized interest, again, at right around that 300,000. We would assume and hope that that would be lower, but as of now, all 5%, that's kind of what we're estimating. And then that keeps is just really a levy management strategy. So that's why we're using it. And you can see you still have some step downs built in those future years. So as you're thinking about future projects and different things like Nick was talking about and down the road to bring on the additional needs, you still have that ability to do that as well. So really not maxing you out in any way.
It'd be kind of nice to see what this presentation looks like in comparison to this as the step down tiers to see what those needs are.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at that.
Yeah.
They weren't matching up exactly, but but again.
And those are the things we look at. So we look at capacity, we look at windows, in time, we see that step down 20, 30, 40. You look at those things and you're trying to project. So you're right. You're right on. You're right on.
Any other questions?
Lacey, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will now hear from Baker Ms. Powell.
We're,
We're.
I was like, oh, what else am I gonna do?
And we're good.
I was like, oh.
All right, okay, now we're going to public hearing. Remember, if you'd like to speak, we need you to sign the project, so if there's anybody additional, please sign your name and address. As I mentioned earlier, we would like to limit your comments to the proposed project and financing. Keep any comments to established board standards and avoid being repetitive if possible. The sign-in sheet now, anybody else? All right, we've got John Christie on the sign-up sheet. Welcome your comments.
I got a couple, 3 things. A couple days ago, I talked to Delaware County Wastewater. They seem very confident that they're going to come through with some financing for the possible project, the sewer line project to gas, and that hasn't been discussed yet this evening. Possibly in excess of $3 million. So I'm just curious if that is to happen, how does that mesh with what you're doing? And could, according to how your bond is written, could those dollars be used to pay down the bond, or would you use those dollars for something else, or how does that go?
Yeah.
That's one question that I have. Another thing, I've heard a lot of talk this evening about work that's being deferred, things that we need to do years down the road. So, but we're bonding money now. So where's that money going to be?
You talking about future projects?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to bond, Shane, if you're going to bond 10, but you don't, I'm hearing work, as the years go by, is there going to be a pot of money set somewhere?
Yeah, very good question.
And I guess just speaking as a taxpayer,
Yeah.
I'd rather keep it as opposed to letting you guys keep it. I would be in favor of pay for work as we need to do it. And then you're calling this a project, so is there a construction manager? Is there an architect?
I think he's writing down.
Oh, yes.
He's jotting down stuff.
Yeah. So I will answer it, yes. Okay. I just want to make sure that I have all of your questions ready. So I hear the Delaware Regional Wastewater is one question. The bonding of 10 million and that we don't need the 10 million. And then the construction manager is what I hear. So the first one is we're at a very exciting time, but a very cautious time. And the reason I haven't been forthcoming to come to the community to tell kind of where we're at with this potential funding piece is because it's not guaranteed. And that's really where it's coming from. So we actually submitted an application in March to potentially get some state funding and federal funding to offset a bit the cost for this wastewater project. And so, and I want to be a very good steward to the community funds that we're working with. So I'm trying to find every outlet to be able to offset these expenses because this is a very costly endeavor that we're going through. So in this last March, we submitted an application with Delaware Regional Wastewater with support of Commonwealth engineers for the project. So we're looking at, so to answer your construction management question, Commonwealth civil engineers will be overseeing the wastewater project as we're looking at it. So with that being said, we had an opportunity to work with Senator Todd Young. So Senator Todd Young has put together a proposal from the state of Indiana for wastewater and for drinking water projects, of which they have put our project, the wastewater treatment facility project here in Wes-Del, at one of their top priorities. So what we have right now is we're on the cusp of something really incredible. That being said, I don't like to get ahead of myself, and I just like to make sure that the check cashes we have. So we're in a very really incredible position right now. We have a senator that's representing our school. Mr. Malcolm and I actually had an opportunity to see him speak about a month ago. So with that being said, we do have an earmarked amount of $3.9 million that would be potentially going towards this project. But the reality and the reason we're going for the $10 million, I want to be very clear, is my expectation is not to spend $10 million. If we do have costs that can offset, so if we do have support from Todd Young, then we would look at that. So I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if they're going to appropriate it. So really where we're at is we're waiting for the Senate Appropriations Committee to go ahead and push it forward. If that happens, then a lot of these conversations will change as we go because there's going to be a reprieve of $4 million. So that has been a conversation. Going to the 10 million. So to kind of answer that question with that 10 million, we're going to revisit this because obviously we have to make sure that we're taking on the projects that need to get done. The roofing project is one that's, that we need to look at. HVAC, I'm trying to put ourselves in a timeline. So the reality of where we're asking for money that we might not have to use. And that would be really beneficial to our community, but we're in a position where we don't know because we haven't gotten that approval from the Senate Appropriations Committee.
Can I follow up?
Yes, sir.
So, but at some point, if you're going to do a bond, doesn't that bond have to be for a specific amount? I mean, the talk tonight is about 10, and you're saying it could be less, but won't there be a day where there'll have to be a hard number?
So the hard number we're looking at, and based on the proposal, is the numbers that Baker Tilly was providing. We're going off those numbers because we don't have on the back end of knowing that we're going to have 4 million less. In terms of the wastewater project is based on the proposal we received previously, anywhere between $5 and $5.5 million. So generally speaking, we're trying to figure that piece out as we're going.
Well, in speaking with their attorney the other day, it was unclear. I mean, if you proceed with 10 and start the project, and then that money comes through, exactly how it could be applied, according to how the bond is written, from what I understand.
Yeah. So I have to defer to legal counsel on that, or bond counsel. That's a bond counsel question. I need to look at that.
But would you have some flexibility as to how you write that bond?
Yes. Yeah, we're not selling the bonds till October.
And, I'm not trying to make decisions.
No, absolutely not. I get where you're coming from. So
I don't know what kind of timeline on appropriation of bond, but.
Well, John, there's even a time frame with the state, and you're aware of that there. We're not too sure with our application on the state of what we might or might not receive.
I understand.
So there's some flexibility there that we're waiting with the state as well. And the application process went through, and what that stage right now possibly would be is other applicants saying no, that they didn't have enough funding, and then our application, moves up higher on that right there. So it's a waiting process even for that.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie, I talked to them on Monday.
Sure.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
And they're extremely optimistic.
They're optimistic,
And
but just like
from
with
what they're
Andy's,
saying, you're very high on the list.
we're somewhat high. We're somewhat high on the list there, but like Andy
Like
said,
talked.
yeah,
I love the conversations. I'm not worried about it. I love it.
yeah, that we haven't gotten that final answer. I mean, I've talked to the same individuals as well.
Yeah.
But trust me, I'm very cautious as well, when it comes to seeing a number of $10 million on a bond. I haven't seen that number before.
Well, I guess I'm just really curious, if that day comes and the 3.9, if that comes through, would you use those dollars to subtract from the 10? Or would you use those dollars in some other way?
Would that not have to be assessed at that certain time for what we need based off of what?
There's a number of very good questions, because that would necessitate the need for a couple people in this room, because what I have to look at is what our tax rate's at. We have to talk with bond counsel, legal counsel. There's a number of different parts to that. So, to answer your question, we'd have to revisit. I mean, we'd have to discuss with everybody, because right now we're just on the assumption we're not getting any funding from the state. We're not getting any support. We got to take this project off the ground ourselves until we get told otherwise. And that's really where we've been driving along since, I think, maybe October of last year.
But I think we're in agreement that you could get called at any time and get good news.
You could, but we can't sit here and say, yes, it's going
It's
to happen.
not a
Yeah.
This project's been kicked down the road for so long.
Yeah.
And I would, and just to be brutally honest, like, it has been kicked out. And I just wanted to be, keep the card close to chest, because it's a wonderful opportunity. But I don't want to just say, hey, we're going to get this money, and then everybody's, let down. It's better that we get the money and I can tell the community, hey, this is something really cool and this is life changing for us. But I won't wait for that time to come.
Well, and then I would say again, I would like to better understand, if you have work that is being deferred, why are we bonding for that now?
So, very good question. So in terms of the deferred maintenance, what we're trying to really do is get the roofing, try to get the HVAC, and get a formulated idea of what that looks like. And prior to October, we'll have a clear cut look at what that looks like, and we'll be able to give that to the community.
You're asking questions that you're wanting answers for now that we can't provide yet. I mean, we don't even have quotations for anything that he has, suggested that we implement the very first thing. There's no quotations that have been implemented besides the roofing.
But if you do the bond process, then that starts and the repayment process starts. And to be honest with you, this looks a little bit more like a line of credit rather than a project.
I think the biggest thing, we're waiting on time. We're starting the engine, we're starting it. We're just not too sure where we're going to go at this moment we're at now.
Well, I guess for me, I was on the board years ago, in
Sure.
2004, when we did, and we had an architect, we had a construction manager, we had a very defined plan. We would work through many of the details. Then we could come up with a number that was pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Then we bonded.
Yeah. And you're spot on. And I've been through the bond process a number of times. And the difficulty of this process opposed to the one you did in 2024 or 2004 was it's predominantly HVAC. Those are the areas you focus on. We have intricacies of roofs. We have technology updates, of which we haven't covered yet through this process. But there's so many different intricacies that we do need to make sure we have that really good opinion. So I agree with what you're saying, John.
I see what you're saying too. Just saying $10,000. That's our number. When I think that you have to start high so that the ball can get rolling, and then the only way to go from that is you deduct once you get everything finalized. It's not an absolute number right now.
No,
but
if we discussed that during last board meeting, obviously we're going to peel back. And if I'm not I want to be a good steward of these money because it's tax dollars to go to work. So making sure that we're transparent. So when we have these meetings, we're going to be open about those projects.
Our situation is a little bit different because we're waiting for two parties over here that says, hey, hopefully one of them has good news. We just can't sit there and say, hey, we're going to hit this off and wait. We got to start that process now.
But you're gonna ask me to start, I mean, I gotta pay my property tax bill twice a year. You're gonna ask me to start paying this bond back. And if I come to you and say, hey, specifically, what are you doing with this money? You're saying, well, we gotta kind of wait and see. We don't really know.
We're waiting.
We think we got some.
By the time the bond closes, we would know exactly what would be. Correct?
And one thing that
You would have to have.
Yeah, that's
You
what I'm
would
saying.
like,
Yeah.
so not have the needs to fulfill it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
So in general, what we're looking at is wastewater treatment facility, and of which is $5 million. We have HVAC and mechanical upgrades that exceed 5, 6, 7, depending on how quickly we go at it. So we have to look at the timeline for that. The roofing and exterior improvements, of which, what was the final cost of that?
1.145.
So just generally speaking, we're looking at $10 million. You got $5 million wrapped into wastewater, potentially 5 to 5.5. You got 1.3 for a roof. We're at 6.7, 8, and then we're looking at, and that doesn't include HVAC. That doesn't include anything. So that really, the reality was, we're trying to get this put into place. So generally speaking, wastewater, HVAC, roofing, and then the deferred maintenance for technology. And the other thing, we talk about rain gutters, cosmetic things. So right now we're sitting at 7 million, and that's just not barely scraping the surface. So in respect to wastewater project, if we find out we don't have to pay it, that's when we have to navigate and figure out what we're going to prioritize.
You said the taxes aren't going to go up.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So the emphasis on, so the property taxes that you paid in 2026, they're asking for the same amount next year. So there's no increase in the property taxes that they're asking for with this $10 million. And that's the maximum that they could do. So like tonight, it's also, all of these numbers are maximum. So again, you decide to reduce the amount because you're not doing the wastewater or like whatever the board, they can come down from that number as well. But even at the $10 million, they're not increasing anything that they're asking for in property taxes.
And that is because you have bonds that you're finishing up that are rolling off. Is that not correct?
They have debt payments falling off and then they're able to come on, which is what a lot of schools around the state of Indiana.
So again, for what you're going to do for the whole thing, is there an architect and construction manager?
Based on the projects, there's not a need for an architect. So wastewater, so we're working with wastewater Commonwealth engineers. So it's a little different that way. Because I have approached architects and engineers about this project and they're like, we don't work in that area. So but working with Commonwealth engineers is kind of the go-to with that. Working on the roofing project is with these guys right here. And you at no point have suggested an architecture.
Yeah, we have an engineering office inside and we have tech reps that will manage the job.
And then with HVAC, what would your recommendation be for the HVAC?
Depending on the scope of work, there's another procurement process that you go through to select a company like ours or an architect or construction.
Any other comments?
I'm done.
Appreciate your time. Anybody else want to speak?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for all that who have participated. We appreciate your time and interest in the projects and the future of our community. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. All right, so we're going on to Mrs. Mara Huff will summarize the project resolution.
Basically, this first resolution is just establishing the estimated cost of the project, the projected tax impact, and the timing of that.
Okay. So now I need a motion in a second to adopt the project resolution.
Motion to adopt the project resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion has passed. Ms. Huck, would you please summarize the preliminary determination resolution?
Yes, so this one sets forth the maximums for the following: the term of the leases, the lease rental, the annual debt service levy, and the annual debt service rate. It has your estimated principal, estimated interest, total interest costs, and a statement of the purpose for the lease.
Okay. Thank you. Can I please have that motion and a second to adopt the preliminary determination resolution?
Motion to adopt the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution has been approved. Ms. Marquette, will you please summarize the reimbursement resolution?
I will, just to let you know, B will also be published in the paper and has already been sent certified to the county clerk. Exhibit C is your reimbursement resolution. This is, you're inevitably gonna have some costs up front before you actually sell the bonds and have the money in the account. This allows you to reimburse yourself once you do the bond funds.
All right, thank you. Can I please have a motion and a second to adopt the reimbursement resolution?
Yeah.
Hold on, Shane's trying to get you.
Now I'm ready.
All right. And I have a motion and a second to adopt the reimbursement resolution.
I make a motion.
I will second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That has been approved.
All right, give me 1 second, please.
All right.
Technically, you closed your public hearing before you started voting on the resolution.
Okay, so, all right. I was afraid about that. Signature.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. All right, we're moving on to new business. Item D, we've got board policy updates, the first reading for July policies. They have been presented in there for your review. You want to skip them? I have it last.
Yeah, they have the third.
Okay, sorry.
You're fine. You're absolutely good. You're good.
So is there any discussion around these policies as a first reading?
I had one, I may have missed it when I read it, under the polling, I don't remember what. I think it's A200 or something.
Okay.
They wanna, I don't know, something.
So I'll just do a brief overview since it's first reading. I'm just going to give you guys a good overview of kind of what we're doing. And to keep the community informed, we're going through all policies and we're actually sunsetting old policies and updating new ones. So this is our third iteration. So this will be the first reading of our July policy batches. So the first one is our non-discrimination anti-harassment, which is A100. It basically outlines that we do not discriminate, tolerate, harass, or on the basis of a protected class, being but not limited to color, race, national origin, sex, age, religion, genetic information, disability. And then also with that being said, that also covers Title 4, 504, Title 9, and non-discrimination coordinator, of which we're a small school. I'm going to take on all those roles. So I will be the coordinator for 4, 9, 504, and non-discrimination. So that's the first reading of policy A100. The next one is civility and decorum, which is A350. I'm going to try to go through these in order, but we have civility and decorum policy. This one is more focused on disruptive or uncivil behaviors. actions taken or words conveyed with purpose to intimidate, threaten, or harass, use profanities or obscenities, raising one's voice, personal attacks, gestures in a manner that cause fear, and invading or remaining in one's personal space. So outlining civility and decorum to a T, and that's one thing that I really wanted to focus on as we go through this. The next one was C-125, admission into the corporation. This is just Indiana code, making sure we abide by that. And if we have issues with students outside of legal settlement, then it gives us definitions and ideas of how we can handle those situations. The next one is D-325, employee background checks. Just outlining what we're doing with either employees or contractors, especially with projects and things we have in the building. Criminal background history checks, child protection index checks, things like that. So we outline all of that within D-325. E-125 is the promotion, placement, and retention of students, mainly in the area with the new legislation around IRE3. It outlines where a subject or a student would be subjected to retention, students' intellectual disabilities, and it goes into all of the Indiana code with all of that. The next one is time and effort reporting. This is employees who are paid full or part-time with federal funds. This puts us in a position where we keep track of their time and effort, and we sign off on that. That makes sure that we're in coherence, that we're in compliance with the law. The next one is debt management policy. It's more so objectives to focus on our finances, to guide our corporation's finance team, to set forth operation principles, to maintain appropriate financial activity and capacity, and protect our corporation's credit rating. So those are things that I take a lot of pride in. So making sure that, especially when we go through our bond ratings and things like that, S&P, we want to make sure that we're good stewards to our rates. The next one is cash balance and liquidity. It sets general practices, minimum, and it sets our minimum target balances from each one of funds and the rationale behind some of those targets. So a target fund would be in the event that we don't receive state funding, that we have a cash reserve to pay our employees. That's both in education and operations. So we set criteria on percentages along that. And then I feel like, Larry, you said bowling. I think did I skip it?
Yeah, C200, I think, yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second, because I read all those, and I don't think I did C200. I know I highlighted it, but I can't find my word. Okay, so anti-bullying is more so the definition of bullying as defined as an overt, unwanted, repeated act or gestures, including verbal or written communication or images transmitted in any manner. It's more so to define what that looks like, to give us like an interpretation or what it would look like. And then it gives us also interventions, both on the parent side of things, what the school needs to do, and then also reporting to the Department of Education, because there are things that from our counseling department we have to report in those events. So those are the areas there are more so that kind of highlight our anti-bullying policy.
I guess my question there is, and maybe this isn't the right policy, but where does the school get involved in that? I mean, is it during school hours, or, I mean, it seems like we need to clearly define when the school
Jurisdiction.
Yes, I guess.
And it does, dealing like social media.
I mean, if it happens in the summertime with their Wes-Del students, or social media at night, or, and I think the school needs to have a clear stance on where they, I mean.
Where you draw the line.
Yes, when it is
Falls onto
schools.
us and when it falls onto the parents.
Yes, I think it needs to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I mean.
So I want to make sure that
And I didn't read in there, and maybe I missed it, but I didn't read where I thought that was defined very well. And I don't mean anything bad about it, but there needs to be
No, but there's always gonna be a
Define
question. This
security.
happened during the summertime, then a parent sits there and says, well, that's not their doing. We're actually transferring to another place,
Yeah.
type situation.
So based on the language that I'm reading, that's in the policy, creating, so it would be to ridicule, humiliate, intimidate, or harm the targeted student, creating for the targeted student an objectively hostile school environment. So anything that, from the way I read it, would spill into the building itself. I probably.
Extracurricular activities.
You can
Company.
send it over and I can try to.
I would have Mara look at it if you don't mind, because I do understand that there is stuff that I know we talk about getting the weeds, but I also don't want to delineate from what the Indiana code states and want to make sure that we have reporting.
Sure.
So let's look at that, Mark.
Yeah.
So I'll follow that back with you, Larry. That's a very good question. So that is the first reading of all of
Right,
those.
so there's no action needed on
Nope.
that. We're just for information and then, we will revisit next month. All right, moving on to item E, board policy updates. This is the second reading for the June policy, so these were the ones that we discussed last month. And these are ones that we are looking for, a motion to approve these updates.
I guess I'll answer any questions if we have them since we read through them once.
So a motion to approve, the second reading of the June policies.
I motion.
Sarah, a second.
Second,
Any discussion regarding these? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the June policies have been approved. All right, moving on to middle school, high school handbook.
Okay, so I did provide a red line copy of any of the updates, and there's one big one, the cell phone policy. I feel like I need to speak on this because this is an Indiana code and we are updating. So I do have a little bit of script that I'm going to read. Tonight's handbook revisions are primarily housekeeping and modernization updates. The most notable change is our revised cell phone policy, which is intended to reduce distractions and maximize instructional time. In addition, we've clarified attendance expectations. We've strengthened our academic accountability. We've updated our graduation information because there is updates with our graduation diplomas, which will impact the class of 2029. That align with the new diploma requirements. We also have overall of these. So the revisions we've made are clear expectations for students, parents, and staff, while ensuring our handbook reflects current laws and best practices. So within our student handbook, the first area that I wanted to make sure the community is aware of is the cell phone policy, and this is per Indiana law. So students are not permitted to use cell phones, iPads, laptops, or any other personal communication device during school hours. That's from bell to bell. So it's that's the language from the state. Cell phones must be left in the student's locker, their vehicle, or at home. So at no point do we want to see the cell phone out during the day. It's against the law. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. The students are allowed to have their device. We've talked with admin. I've talked with all the admin. They can have their device, but out of sight, out of mind. That's our mentality as we go. And I think Mr. Purdue's saying, bell to bell, no cell. I think that's the new slogan we're using. So bell to bell, no cell. So no cell phone. So that will be a change that adheres to the Indiana code. And then we do have a matrix of disciplinary consequences based on cell phones. And I want to make sure our community knows this, as we will have to uphold this because this is law. So the first offense, the cell phone is confiscated and an administrator will take it to the office. A parent or guardian must pick it up. So first time, because the reality is what we don't want to do is have our teachers enforcing law and all the things. We see the device and it goes to the office, you're gonna have to come pick it up because otherwise we're not adhering to the law. The second being the cell phone is confiscated by an administrator will take place. It's the second time. A parent and guardian must pick it up and lunch detention will be assigned. The third time, the administrator will take, the third time it's confiscated, a parent or guardian must pick it up, and a Thursday school detention will be assigned. We have to start off on a strong note with this because, like I said, it is the Indiana code. So we're going to start strong with this, and I just want to make sure that this new language is out and everybody's aware of it. Attendance, once again, any attendance is more stringent with new laws. Any day a student is not present at school, that day will be counted as absence for state reporting. State reporting they're pushing state reporting a lot more now as we go into the new diploma requirements and everything else. And it will be coded, planned absences, sicknesses will be coded hardening only for student reported purposes. We also have tardy policy, students who miss more than 8 days in school. Actually, this is not tardy, that's going back to the last one. If a student signs in late for first period, they will be marked tardy unless excused with proper documentation. But we also have a student who misses more than 8 days of school year will be considered habitually truant and subject to loss of driving privileges. And then also would have to have a attendance letter and implementation plan and a referral to DCS or a county prosecutor. Because once again, the state is really pushing for students to be in school. The idea is 94% of the time you should be in school.
So that means like doctor's notes, everything, even if they have a doctor's note.
Those are excused. So excused absence, we're not, So that the idea is if you don't have the excuse, then yes. But and there's an exhaustive list of excusable absences of which are on the board policy, and that can be anything from bereavement to medical leave to.
I know some of that's changed.
Yeah. And then new student enrollment, it's just update, scheduling changes, when those take place. So not much change there. And then I think the final one is, the diplomas, class of 2029 and beyond, our diploma types are changing. So what we're looking at is from a core 40, the class of 2029 will have an Indiana diploma, which will be 42 credits. Core 40 will, with technical honors, we still have it, but we'll also have for the class of 2029, Indiana diploma with enrollment honors. And then the other one is core 40 with academic honors will now be Indiana diploma with enrollment plus honors. So we're going to hear different languages as we go through, and we're in the midst of different cohorts being in different bands within that graduation. So we had to make sure we put that in there. Yes, so those are the updates on that. And going back to the updates to the diploma, that was a conversation we had with Indiana Associated School Principals. The gentleman came in here to oversee that. So these are the changes we're seeing in the handbook this year.
Thank you.
I did have one quick question.
Yeah.
On the cell phone, and I know it says devices on there, will be compensated. That includes the iPads when you come down here and your watches.
Everything. And the other thing is we had to go communication devices because now you have Ray-Bans that have cameras in them. You have all of this device. So it's not, I mean, you have Oura rings now. I don't know.
Is that something we're going to have an explanation to the students? I know we're talking about it. I know it's in the handbook. But is that something that we're going to present to the students so they know that it also includes the watch?
Yeah, so the conversation will come from the administration of the high school and the elementary. And basically what we'll do is the first couple of weeks of school, we go through all the handbook policies and say, hey, this is where we're at.
Did we push something out already? Or no?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's
I believe we pushed out to is generally because this is like earth shattering to some. We pushed out to the community about 3 weeks ago of the changes that are in effect, and I just wanted to make sure that we covered all of this because there will be a lot of questions.
So this will be explained as well to our parents, which would probably be.
And we did that before the group, but we will have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And the handbook can be found on the website, correct?
Yes. So once we get approval of this, we'll post it on the school website, and you'll have access to that after the night. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're looking to.
I was just gonna say with the handbook, it's too bad that you can't get some type of a signature for acknowledgement.
I do believe.
We do.
Yeah.
So we do have a signature for acknowledgement. So we do online or we do all of the enrollments on Chromebooks and everything. So a part of that is a digital signature. They sign off knowing.
So they didn't see it.
Yeah. So we keep that on there.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the middle school high school student handbook for 26-27.
Motion to approve the handbook for the upcoming school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That has been approved. Moving on to superintendent's report.
Yeah, a couple things. I just wanted to get the.
Is anybody willing to lead?
Oh, yes.
Normally you offer them to lead.
I know, that was
Yeah.
I just want to know how long we're gonna be here then. Are you gonna be like pretty lengthy or what's going on?
What's that?
On the superintendent's report.
No, not like
How into the weeds do we get on that?
No, not very much.
Okay.
I talked more than I've talked in probably a week today.
I just think, my name's Phil Gipp. I think some of you know me. I'm running for state rep again, and hopefully we'll be better this time. I just wanted y'all to know that my number one issue is I'm gonna support public schools. And I'm tired of them getting the crappy end of the stick. Now, speaking of getting into the weeds, I could go on, but we won't, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being here too.
I think people, I don't know why you have a legislature that hates public schools, but you do. And I swear to God, I will try to correct
Well, let this guy lead the charge. I'll support him.
that.
Okay, so I just want to let the board know we've got a lot of projects. I've got a number of photos and things. I want to put together a presentation for you guys, but also the community. And we're just in the midst of all about 90% done on we're actually about 90% done with all of the projects. So we've got our restrooms have been updated. We have new flooring in the restrooms. We have new carpet through all the we have new carpet and tile through all the classrooms at the elementary. So the elementary is looking incredible. We did have an update to the playground at the elementary. We have 2 new canopies that over basically cast shadow for a little bit of coolness for our teachers. But we also have new playground equipment that's been set up. Currently, we have all the toilets, sinks, and hardware being replaced at both middle school and high school. So we'll have all new toilets, all new sinks. We had over 20 different locations throughout the district that have been updated in terms of paint. So I actually wrote that down. We have done painted updates in A7, D9, D6, D7, teacher lounge, high school front office, auxiliary gym, the food lab, boys and girls restrooms. So we've got a ton of painting projects that are completely done now. So all that's done. The next step is we have an update to our elementary. We have a restroom that was in a kindergarten classroom that we're updating for ADA compliance, so we can actually have wheelchair accessibility. That will be done before the school year. What else? We have so many moving parts. All the floors are waxed, and we're getting pretty close with all the waxing, all of that. So I want to commend all of our employees who have been working a ton of hours this summer to get all of that done. We have student workers that have been truly incredible as well. Other than that, I think that's in a nutshell. I'll have an update for you guys of all of the projects we've done. I'm really impressed with the progress we made, and things are looking really good. I'm excited for the start of the next year. One other thing is we will have registration. We will have all that information. I'm going to push that out here within the week. I don't want to say it right now. I want to make sure I touch base with all the admin that we are on the same page. But we will have registration, signups, all the things. We're going to start kicking off the school year, and our official start to the school year is August 5. So we're it's going to be here before we know it.
Okay, board comments. Mr. Matt.
Appreciate what you said about Mike Lewis. He was a good guy. Yeah, that's all.
Mr. Malcolm.
Same thing for me. Prayers to the Mike Bush family. I got to work with him through my business. Andy and I both attended the ceremony for the Delaware County Hall of Fame for the new facility location. And it was pretty neat to see him do the ribbon cutting ceremonies there. So I was very proud of him.
I'm going to say the same thing, Mr. Bush. He was a great man. had him through school, had him as coach. He was well loved. And I also want to thank Mr. Christie for coming in and visiting us and bringing up good, valid questions that we know everybody's asking in the background. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Ms. Monk. Again, Mr. Bush, I was here, worked at the school with him, so I know he is a warrior that is going to be really missed in our community. And even when he's not working here, he's still showing up to the games and stuff. And I don't know of anyone that could probably say a bad word about him. So prayers and thoughts to his family as they're dealing with his loss.
He reached out, even my role as president the last 2 years, just certain things come up, and he's been very supportive. And was always willing to chat and talk about it when he could, so he won't be missed. We appreciate everybody's time and energy tonight. And again, we are working hard to make this continue to keep us on a great school and proud to the community.
I would be, I apologize. We have a visitor in the room, trustee support. I did apologize, but I wanted to at least bring that up. I should have said that during my superintendent update. So Lisa's here. She is one of the individuals that's interested in the bank unit in Gaston. She's been very, very eager about kind of figuring out where we're at with everything. As I told her, we need to discuss everything where we're at. We did get an appraisal, so that from the community perspective and everything, I want to be very forthcoming. That we did get an appraisal on the bank building just recently, as early as today's Monday. So we're working through that. Obviously, Lisa and her team is really eager to see where we're at. So I want to let the board know, and at least let the community know we're having the discussions right now and air that out. So we're in the midst of that. But I do appreciate you being here at the board meeting tonight.
Okay, well, we are just looking to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Meeting is now adjourned. Thanks very much.
Hey, we're clear.
Thank you guys. I love to be rude, so it's on my computer running through numbers. Yeah, so sorry.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
It could be different. It could be 7 million based on 5.
I think that's all she got. If you actually.
So we got the brains.
I still.
So she was today. So we got an appraisal from the appraisal came back.
But yeah, I was like, sitting there like.
So my thing was, I want to make sure anybody. She has a great desire to be in there. I remember sitting there.
And that gives me. John 6.2.
Well, so I told her to originally I told her yeah, I told her 35,000. I told her 150. I didn't know. And that's yeah.
And I'm saying, John, hey, you're putting it out there. Yeah. But sometimes you gotta think backwards. What amount can we spend?
Yeah.
And that's from a business that's out there for.
Yeah, preschool. Yeah. And what was Mr. Miller's first name? Josh. So he's from here.
So Jefferson since.
I got the reimbursement.
So we're nice now again.
At least our document says it doesn't matter. We really didn't have that.
Okay. I have 2 out of the 3.
So we know the problems with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that we could.
I heard you were on the word.
Yeah. To be able to.
I think the parking stuff would be a lot better down great little bank building. I don't know nothing about it, but
Yeah, and the plot land goes in with that appraisal.
yeah, it would be better for the parks. Well, nice to meet you. I didn't want to give your business call. Come meet you.
So partner with Josh or?
Yes.
Okay.
I will purchase this building, he'll own that one, and we'll be together.
Okay.
Yep. He's on vacation right now, that's why he's not.
Sure. No, I worked with Josh several times.
Yeah.
And so he's obviously there at the funeral home, so I had to go knock on the door and say, hey, can I borrow the paper? You know, for his work here. So we're looking at purchasing.
Speed up.
And then it would be a.
I knew the other building didn't work out.
Right.
Yeah. If you saw it.
Yeah, I did my internship for Ant, and I've been there for 14 years, Josh and I. have been
Saw it
together.
today.
Oh, I haven't seen it today.
I'm saying you've seen it today.
Yeah. It's great.
The one.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I apologize. Like,
I didn't know. Obviously.
also, it's around like 15 of them.
I'm just.
Too many for a lot, too many for you.
I went to make it.
Seventy-two, yeah.
He wasn't making sign up.
Yes, I agree.
I remember what that cost.
They needed someone with admin experience.
There's a lot of, yeah, so there was a lot of square footage, but there was, that was never happened for what I got.
Right.
I mean, even though it's a gas gen, it's almost like he was burnt out, like ours.
I know someone who's like,
Yeah.
And he did all of this work.
she was like, I would have my friends.
Yeah, I tried to document it all, of course, I don't have the money.
Yeah, 'cause you don't want to-
Yeah, it's been okay. You know, it's okay. You know, parking town,
Right.
Which I think is.
it was okay. I mean, it's a community.
Thank you for your
Do
input.
we know our numbers are gonna be
Make
up?
the-
We're exactly what I was asserting
But
to
our
them.
part has been passed the entire
I mean,
time. And we just
Look
started
at
out,
it.
so that's why we're trying
Yeah,
to.
for sure.
So we're just thank everything.
So essentially, we said they town to stay.
Yeah.
There's like two.
I'd reach out.
Just you and
I'm
Jane.
not trying to tell you anything, because I'm on both sides. I'm not saying he is good.
I'm gonna keep these separate because
I walked through the place and I was like,
Of Jeff's old building. I would have to
I mean, it's just like,
force Josh because
Just
Josh.
trying to figure out.
oh, I know. I
I've been on longer.
And the other one, you know, when he told me the idea of that, I was just like, wow. Never would have
He
thought of
said
that.
I was the one that I did that.
No, there was,
That how
I mean, I'm talking about, no, the bank building. To me, I never would have.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been a
No, you don't have to, he's just
But it
saying
was
that they need
good
help
idea.
with,
I mean, seriously, because when you go through there, it's got the structure
Yes,
part of it.
and then all
And
these,
then obviously it's cosmetic
that's the bus drivers.
when it gets down to there. But I was just like, man, all the things, I guess this would be. Because there's not a lot.
Right.
Do you
You know,
recollect
it's
who
medical,
who voted
office
in the
building.
first round of the second preliminary termination hearing? Yeah, we had three
Oh, I
motions.
will. So obviously we gotta look at what's best
Three
for
with all of them.
the school itself at the end of the
But
day.
Malco had the last, Mary had the second, who made the first?
Yeah, so, but I just wanted to talk
Yeah.
about it for a second.
The second motion?
Yeah, I got the corner building as well, which is an eyesore on the outside. And it's
I
unfortunate.
just, it's on there.
I'm gonna sell that one shortly. The gentleman that just does the wood.
Yeah,
He's
he's
my-
done a lot of cleanup though in the last few months.
A little bit, a lot of it's what we done. if you go inside, I mean, it's,
I tell you what, this phone is policy.
Yeah, it's Christy says that he's really.
What, here's
But
my
the
big thing, I have mixed emotions on both of it.
What was an emergency?
Yeah, so here's my thing though, if the kids aren't allowed to have them, then the teachers should be allowed to.
but we had a car go through our,
I remember when you wrote.
Because that's basically like saying, oh, you can't have pizza, but I can sit here and eat a piece of pizza in front of you, like.
mine's
I really agreed with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think so. That'd be great.
And so that's
That was a problem.
he
why
got
I
in his
mentioned
vehicle
to
at
Andy when I talked to
10
him all
till
about
12.
it, I have
Yeah, so what do you tell your kids to be home by
Right.
midnight? So he lives in Yorktown. He would have went down 600 to Yorktown, 10 till 12.
It's a way for kid to prove
So there's
something.
a great chance he would have.
Out of line.
Well, I mean,
We
if they're
couldn't miss
looking
it.
at how to.
15,000 square foot building.
Exactly.
So a car or a person or a kid.
Not that I like, because it's important.
But he's had another DUI
Wow.
and
I
zero
mean, it's just another contract.
Extracurricular content.
Yeah,
He's had 8.
so I'm just treating it as the other.
That's the reason why I did it. It wasn't because it was his first one. I won't.
I think they're just.
Right.
It's just, well, I mean, we have no choice, it's, but like, I know some schools, they're like bought bags, and they have to put their phones in a bag, so I would have just said,
On
don't
driver's
even allow them in the
license.
building at all. But then if your kid gets dropped off or rides a bus, then what do you do? They don't have the option to leave it
Much
in
of
their
a
car.
fish.
Right.
It's just for
You have to
school
say say it
hours,
here.
like
You're
extracurricular.
losing.
But I'm saying, like, if your kid,
Yeah.
They can't bring it.
8 times.
Yeah.
Supposed to make those.
I mean, at what point do you sit there?
So, I mean, I think.
So you got.
Lisa's giving them.
He's
I don't understand why they can't have them at lunch.
63, 64.
Like you could, I could go all day without my
Sit
phone.
there,
I think it was like that.
That's what I'm saying, that's, I know how my kid is.
And those are the things
That's
that
the
you
drug
can-
That's what I'm saying.
But then-
I had some of the back on something.
Unfortunately.
But then that's the whole thing, because like, even now, you have teachers